Hey guys, in our mains perspective, we'll look about the topic of historical background and evolution of Indian constitution in the polity. So the evolution of Indian constitution is such that first we had Regulating Act 1773. So it recognized for the first time political and administrative functions of company. And the Pitt's India Act 1784. The company's territories in India were the first time called the British possession in India, and the Charter Act of 1833. The act created for the first time a government of India having authority over entire territorial area possessed by the British in India led to centralization of administration in British India. So the term British possession in India was used in Pitt's India Act for the first time, and in the Charter Act 1833, centralization of administration happened, and the Charter Act of 1853, legislation was treated as a special function of the government. And the next one, Government of India Act of 1858. It abolished the rule of East India Company. India was to be governed by and in the name of Crown entered the system of double government, transfer of power from company to Crown. All these things happened in the Queen Victoria Proclamation 1858. It abolished the EIC after the Great Revolt, and the power was transferred from company to Crown. In 1861, ICA, Indian Council Act, nomination of Indians, restoration of legislative powers, issuance of ordinance, portfolio system, then associating Indians in the lawmaking process. All these things were introduced by the British. And in the ICA 1892, official majority was maintained. Given the power of discussing the budget of the House, unlimited and indirect provision for the use of election in filing up some of the non-official seats. So all these things happen. Official majority, power for discussing the budget, and use of election in filling up of non-official seat. All these improvements were seen. And in ICA 1909, also known as Minto-Morley reform, separate electorate concept was introduced. So the Government of India Act 1919 and the bicameral legislature, diarchy at provinces, all these features were introduced in this particular act. Next one is Simon Commission. Establishment of representative government in the province. And Nehru Report. This was the first attempt by the Indians themselves to prepare a constitution. Responsible government, UAF, Universal Suffrage for Adult, and ideas of dominion status, fundamental right, all these things were discussed in Nehru Report. Here Nehru means Motilal Nehru. And the next one is Government of India Act 1935. All India Federation, bicameralism, responsible government, then Federal Court, Federal Public Service Commission, completely responsible government in India. All these things were introduced. So most of these features were adopted even in our present day constitution, right? And latest one being the India Independence Act 1947. It ended the British rule. Two independent dominions, India and Pakistan, were created, and the Constituent Assembly of the two dominions were also established to make their own constitution. Now the Constituent Assembly. First time the idea was put forward by M.N. Roy, a pioneer of communist movement in India. August offer of 1940 failed to satisfy the demand. Therefore, Cripps mission was a failure. And then Cabinet mission came in 1946. It rejected the idea of two Constituent Assembly. And composition of Constituent Assembly comprised of indirectly elected members and also dominated members. So based on this only, our Constituent Assembly was formed finally. And what was the criticism of Constituent Assembly? It does not represent the masses. Restricted adult franchise because many members were nominated also, and the adult franchise was restricted. Then Hindu dominated body, Congress domination. So there was also lawyers domination. All these were the criticism of our assembly. Now, true nature of representative of assembly or countering above criticism. What was the true nature? Constituent Assembly represented different shades of opinion, religious community of India. There was hardly any shade of opinion not represented in assembly. So they discussed in detail each and every part of the constitution, and they implemented the best practicable thing into the constitution, which is suitable for our country's diversity. The Constituent Assembly sought to address concerns of every person irrespective of their social and cultural orientation. Then, objective resolution. This was moved by Jawaharlal Nehru. It stated following principle. What are they? Independent sovereign, republic, justice, right for people, safeguard for certain section, and it also talked up. It came into the preamble. And the next one is enactment and enforcement of constitution. Date of its commencement. Then January 26, 1950, celebrated as the Republic Day. This day, our Republic Day was celebrated. And the constitution was enacted and enforced. Now, what are the salient features of Indian constitution? So, our constitution is a written constitution. We have parliamentary democracy, independence of judiciary, unitary bias, written constitution, then parliamentary. So yeah, all these things are same. We also have fundamental right, then fundamental duty, DPSP, secular state, UAF, single citizenship, emergency provision. And what is the criticism of our constitution? Ours is a borrowed constitution, and many people criticize that it is a carbon copy of 1935 Act, and it's a too bulky and too detailed document, and it's also criticized as lawyers' paradise because many of our constitutional forefathers were lawyers. So that's all for today. Thank you.